GA. How we doing, family? What's the word? Back for another one. Yes, it's Onaji B, Brian, founder behind Ohnahji and OhnahjiU University. Up here, back for another OhnahjiU Saturday, baby, our longest running segment. We out here. Let's go. Yes, better call Z in a building. W first, family. What's the word? How you doing? It's good to see you. Um, I think Z might be good to go. So I'll keep you posted. I'll shoot you the link in just a bit for Sheezy, who's coming on today. Hey, looks like we're gonna have a full house, man. We're gonna have a full house. So we're gonna get into it. Um, yeah, y'all. AI summertime well underway. It's the last OhnahjiU Saturday, last Saturday in June. Missed y'all last week. Grads and dads season, traveling, all that good stuff as well too. But today we are back. We rocking day 313, 313 out of this 365 journey, daily live streams. But yeah, back with another OhnahjiU Saturday. Last one, Pride Month going strong. Heavy ally gang, heavy yes, it's a good time. It's a good time. AI summertime well underway. June 27th, we rocking. How y'all feeling? How y'all doing? I haven't really been seeing a whole bunch of tech news. I do know that the Ohnahji Discord has been cracking, has been popping. So tap in, join the conversation over there. Many tools, many gems, some go-to conversation over there. I've been saying recently, we're not really regular streamers. We're not really regular mods. We're not really a regular Discord either. And we're shifting the narrative on what can be done, what we can use these tech tools for, what we can use this internet connection for. Yeah, vibing and chilling with the home team, kicking it with our friends and fam, and learning and growing together. Collaboration, collaborating together. So let me shoot out a couple noties real quick, and we're gonna get this thing started. But yeah, I do have one big tech topic that I definitely want to get into and bring up and see what the room thinks about. So we will dive into that here soon. But let me know the vibes, y'all. Let me know the vibes. Let me see. The topic, it's a heavy one around screen time, Z. Screen time. So yes, because now a lot of humans are on these screens 24/7. He said mine is bad. Mine's bad too, probably super bad too. Yeah. No, I hear that. I hear that. So but specifically getting into some topic around kids. So which is interesting. Want to know the number? You want to know the number, or I want to know your number? Let me know. Let me know. All right, let's get it. Let's get it. All right, hold on just a second. We got Dean, Dina Combs, OG super supporter, Big Well Energy in the building, Boss 2.0 family. What is the word? What's the word? How we feeling? GMGA. Happy Saturday. On this 27th. You know what's funny? I didn't even know it was the 27th. And 27th is one of my numbers, one of my numbers. So I was hyped to see that. I looked at the thing today and I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a great day. How you doing?
What going on? Okay, is it just me? I'd be here in the Matrix, but it might just be me. Yes, no, maybe so.
I can hear you. It's a little low. That might be me though. Hold on. Yeah, that's me. All right. Yeah, there you go. I had the wrong headphones in, but yeah, welcome, boss. What's going on? You can tell me
Okay,
again.
there we
Tell me again.
go.
There you
There we
go.
go. Yes, what's going on? Wait, this thing is like killing right now. Ooh, runway. Um,
No, you are good.
yeah, no, what's going on, y'all? Maybe it's my other one.
Rocking
All
with this OhnahjiU
right.
Saturday.
No, what's up? Oh, it's good. Glad to be here with the fam. I was like up and going for it, but then like my tech wanted to start acting crazy, and I'm like, wait, what's happening? Um,
Of course.
but yeah, what is good? Excited to be
Of
here with the
course.
fam. It's been a week. This is week 2 of my summer vacation, like summer vacation. um, but I mean, we gonna use it how we gonna use it. It's been a lot of long late nights. Catching up on Netflix, binging like regular normal people. It's like, is this what normal life is?
There you go. That's funny. I have not. I've been doing the exact opposite. I have been missing a bunch of shows, except the staple one we got to get into with Hey Miss V. We've been tapped in with this Love Island, but we not going there right now. We definitely not going there right now for sure. But that's what's up. I'm glad you relaxing, enjoying the summer. Summertime for me. I've been running around, grads and dad season, all that good stuff. So it's been a good time. It's been a good time. All right, we got Dean Icy through in a building. That's what's up. Icy family, Dina Magic. Let's get him on stage. Bang, Icy family. How you doing, GMGA? What's going on? Happy OhnahjiU Saturday, family.
Happy Saturday indeed. Hope you both are doing well. Hope everybody's doing well. What's going on?
We here. We vibing, rocking. 27th. Shout out to the fam. Shout out to the squad coming through, bearing with me. I was late this morning. I woke up and I was like, "Yo, I just woke up. Like, let me get ready real quick." WI, it's just me and Scape in the building. Day 19 asking for the shoe in the okay, Scape. All right, almost in the 20s. Almost in the 20s. Nice haircut. You looking fly? Oh my goodness.
Oh no, it's still here. It's still here. It's still here. I just have to take it back because it's starting to get frizzy at the roots a little bit. But I appreciate it. And I feel like same with you. I feel like I saw a picture of you like out and about, and I was like, when did Dog cut his hair? But yeah, no, thank you. Yes, it was just hidden, absolutely. Gotta snatch it back. Gotta define my light. That's what Tyra taught me.
I dig it. I dig it. India first. And now my partner's cutting it. Loving a free cut. I'm loving that. That's funny. $1.50. I wish a cut out here was $1.50. Out here it's reverse those numbers, add to 0, 51 type vibe. It's ugly. All right, family. So yeah, on OhnahjiU Saturdays, our longest running segment, and we've been rocking these since February 2022, having go-to discussions, around emerging tech, whether that be blockchain, AI, NFTs, metaverse, AR, AI, AR, VR, all of the acronyms, huh? But AI has been kind of running rampant. Yesterday, the fam, they had me run up some old music. Icy Thrill was in the building. We was jamming some old, OhnahjiB tunes and things. And we were getting into a little bit of AI music talk. AI music has been running rampant. I'm not going to lie. Suno and these other tools, people are using them. People are making accounts, personas. And we stumbled, me and Hey Miss V, she sent me a link. We stumbled on our first AI R&B bot that's running up numbers, got recommended to our For You page type of situation. And it was very interesting. And then, she ended up blocking it. She's like, I don't
blocking it.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, it was.
What was it? Because I need to know if it's being recommended to me, just like our audience might want to know too.
That is true. Let me find. I'm not trying to
spotlight. We need to hear it. Because it's AI, so we can have an opinion and not hurt feelings.
That's true. Let me.
While you're looking for that, I heard you talking about catching up on streaming, boss. Yeah, I just came out of a tunnel from watching the new season of The Bear. So I got to episode 5 and it was sitting on time for this to start, so I stopped it there. Did you watch The Bear?
I have not seen The Bear, but because I think it's on. What is it on? Is it on Showtime or something?
No, Hulu.
Hulu.
I think it's an FX, right? Or no, I'm not tripping, but it is on Hulu.
It's Hulu.
What? No, because my Hulu is off right now because I waffle back and forth in between what I'm watching. So I've been on Netflix lately. So I haven't seen The Bear. This is the 3rd season. I've definitely heard about it.
The 5th.
Gotcha. But no, I've definitely heard about it, but I hadn't had a moment to check it out. Maybe this is my time too, since I actually have time to. I caught up with the Murdaugh murder stuff that was down here. well, not down here in the Carolinas, but this week has been this J drama called Straight to Hell, which was mad good, mad good. And I think I'm probably gonna watch the Earth, Wind, and Fire documentary. I know that's on HBO Max. I think that's probably gonna be my watching after I'm done today. But I'm gonna put the bear on the list because I'm ready for some new stuff.
Yeah, I kind of accidentally watched the Earth, Wind, and Fire documentary, not because I wouldn't watch it, but I didn't realize that's what I was looking at until like I was 30 minutes in. That was interesting. I don't think you often get to see a band from that far ago that's like maybe outside of some like Rolling Stones, Ozzy Osbourne kind of vibes, but most of them, for the most part, are not like still active like Earth, Wind, and Fire is. So it's interesting to watch when they have an active ego. So you'll get it. I mean, you haven't watched it, but you'll get it like when they talk about the past and they talk about each other in a way that like they still like feel like they're in competition almost. Yeah, it was funny. Like it was like they were talking to their younger selves almost. Like it made them seem younger as they were talking about things. They did not seem like old decrepit guys and nothing like that. You know, they felt like they still in it.
Well, I'm very excited to watch it then. I mean, if it gets a little bit of an I see through seal of approval, absolutely. Let's go get it.
I mean, you know, AKA they were being a little messy, but it was funny.
Oh yeah, I've heard a bit about that. I've heard a bit about that.
But it was like all in good humor, almost like they would ask each other, like, "Well, what did you think about when this one went solo?" And they'd be like, "Well."
What station is that one on? Or is it Netflix? HBO. Okay. I haven't even opened. No, that's not true. I haven't opened up the HBO app in a minute. I have too many subscriptions.
I get it free with my phone stuff. So.
Oh, okay. That's what's up. HBO, Katie in the building.
So I just watch it on TV.
Oh, that's true. Katie in the building. 902. Welcome in, family. From Sabrina, that's love. Appreciate you coming through, rocking with us. I appreciate that. This is OhnahjiU Saturday. Our longest running segment. Got our OG super supporters, Big Dean Energy in the building, Dina Magic, IC through Dina Comms, Boss 2.0. So we've been rocking these go-to conversations around emerging tech since 2022. It's been a good time. So we pivoted into this live stream journey. Around April last year, and been rocking ever since. We were doing Twitter Spaces before, audio, podcast type vibes before, but now we cams on and going after it. So, Christy in the building. Hi, how you doing, family? What's the word? Ms. B in the building. Is Joey in here? Not yet. I'm weak. Okay. But yeah, family. I did find that artist. It's I guess Echo IXX or something like that. But it's basically a conglomerate of a bunch of R&B singers, male and female. It's very interesting. You can see it right away. There's like this consistent persona on the covers of this astronaut. It's very interesting. And the interesting part too, actually the same type of qualms I think that I have with AI art, which is not a whole lot. It's basically just pumping out as much as you can, as quick as you can. Pull it up. All right, let's see what we can do here. Let's see. Might have to sign in. But that boy L in the building. What's going on, family? It's good to see you. How's everything going, man? I appreciate you stopping by, man. What's good? So OhnahjiU Saturday, we rocking with the fam. But yeah, it's interesting because all their music is from recent, 2026. I immediately on anybody's pages go and see when they started, see what the catalog looks like, right? And every album has like 31, 25, like a grip of songs.
Oh.
And they're not bad. Like I'm sure people are like finding it on their feeds or whatever and letting it play. You know, not there's probably multiple people out there that are not skipping through it, but yeah, it's just interesting. What you mean you forgot? Okay, well,
I mean, it was just like a
WNS. How did
random string of letters and numbers. Like it wasn't like a person's name, so like it fell out of my head. And names will fall out of my head as soon as I meet somebody. I'm like, yeah, okay, nice to meet you.
yeah, yeah. What? I feel that. I feel that. All right, let me share it. I got you here. Um,
It's not
all
on
right.
purpose. It's just a lot going on up here.
It sure is.
Oh,
It sure-
okay. This is interesting.
So yeah. S- So
So the,
yeah.
the the visual would have immediately struck me as AI. So that would
Correct.
like just seeing the visual would have made me think that there's AI going on. I haven't
Correct.
been suggested this, or at least it's not showing up in my history. But I don't know what it sounds like, so it might be a reason for that.
But it's a lot. It's a lot. And I think that's the thing for me is like it's too much. It's too much, you know? Like maybe like a regular humanish rollout would have been cool, but
But that's kind of defeats the purpose of. So here's the thing.
does it? Okay,
But
go
here,
ahead,
but
go
no,
ahead.
but here's the thing. There's more than one perspective around this, right? So you
True.
have the purist perspective, the artist perspective, the
Mm,
listener perspective, the entrepreneur perspective. Like it's all this.
yeah,
All of this leads back to just human beings having technology available to them.
right.
Any technology that exists, there are people who use it in every way that there is to use it. Good, bad, ugly, manipulative, capitalist, socialist, whatever you want to label something. Every day
Yeah.
there's somebody using it that way. There's nothing different about this. Um, as technology to create digital things became easier, even pre-AI, like for automation, that's when you started seeing things on Etsy blowing up and digital things starting to be created and a lot of print on demand stuff started popping. And so AI just kind of threw like fuel on that fire that was already kind of burning.
Right.
Now, I mean, none of that's about a morality. None of that's how I feel about any of that. That's just the facts of what's happening, right? That's the world we're in. You can't really stop that. I think it's okay to feel whatever way you feel about it, whatever that is. If you're for it, against it, that's kind of the whole point. You are entitled to feel whatever way you want.
Yeah.
The thing about this, though, is people are, and I've said this before, people are going to find themselves in the position of casting judgment on people for liking AI generated things.
Mm,
And there's going to be a point, and there's already been this point as it relates to certain things where people have said, okay, yeah, I know it's AI, I like it. Okay, and so
right.
they have all these other people telling them, well, you shouldn't like it. Well, you don't really get to do that.
Mm,
You don't really get to tell them that they can't like what they like. The same way they can't tell you that you should like the AI. You have your stance, they have theirs. The
yeah.
problem is money talks. So, like, if the money and people, the listeners, the stats, if people are running this stuff up and playing it on repeat and they like it, then the incentive is there to keep doing it. Here's the thing though. People like to be angry, so they want to have something to be upset about, and this becomes a talking point. But it still has to be good. And so somebody has to be able to have some sort of discernment, some sort of like way to finesse this. And no, that's not the same as people sitting in a room with instruments and creating it from. No, nobody's saying that. It's not an equivocation. But in order for it to be good, it can't be like repeatedly done by millions of people for it to stand out, to rise up the charts and get all these repeated
Right.
streams. Like, yes, you can get lucky and maybe your AI that day was just on one. And
Yeah.
you got the good, seed and algorithm, but just for anybody to like do this consistently and not be a one-off thing where they just threw 50,000 songs at the wall and, you know, see what happens. For somebody to actually make a career out of this and compete with other artists, like you can't go on tour with the AI. That's where they actually have to go to make money. They're not making money on Spotify. So if the robots want to play money into for pennies, that's not where they're competing for their money anyway. So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like I feel like you can feel however you want about it, but if people are listening to it and they like it, you have to be careful about, even especially as artists, you can't tell your audience that they're idiots, they're stupid, they like bad things. Like you can't be talking to them that way and expect them to like you as a person and then want your music, so to speak. Similar to how you see like people react to like Nicki Minaj's change. You know, nobody would ever say she's not talented, but now there are people who just don't care that she's talented, don't want to hear it because they don't like the way that she's talking to them.
Right. That's a good point. That's a good point. I see. Getting Magic came through spitting for sure. Yeah. I
just took a moment to listen to it, and it's not terrible. There was, I'm over on the Instagram, and there was a part of me that thought like they have pictures of like Maurice and Rihanna up in Kehlani and CB and stuff, and I'm like, oh, are these people's voices? They are not, but I don't know. It's
I have more of a problem with that.
Yeah, like I feel like I do as well, because when I first pulled it up, I was like, oh, are they using the voices, like the likenesses? Oh, this is not kosher. But when I listen to it, it's not. But do you know what it kind of sounds like? And I don't know if y'all have seen these. I've seen these. And his kind of crossed my mind just a little bit that these might be AI, but like the custom songs. Have you seen like content where people can like send in send in like the love story of them and their loved one, and an artist makes a song about it, and then they end up playing it for something?
Why wouldn't you use AI?
What? Say it again.
Why wouldn't you use AI for that?
Correct. But then, like, when I heard this, it sounds a lot like some of those. And people are having visceral reactions to this custom song that is made about them and their life with the person that they're with. And I'm like, that Jeff, like, is where I'm coming from with it. But
it's probably the same AI.
It probably is. Like, now that I feel like I just had a epiphany that it probably is. I don't know. I don't even feel bad about saying it. It's giving more of the same, but I don't feel like the production value is that for me is where it stands out. But I'm also a big, like, production value for me is everything, and I particularly like a certain sound, and this is not necessarily the certain sound that I like. I know that it's it's the sound of that we hear from most artists now, but I'm also like, it's not enough there for me. Like,
I'm with you. I'm as I've gotten past my 20s, I've discovered instruments, like, and not just the beat, so to speak. So like I listen for the horns. I love horns. AI doesn't do those very well. It's good at percussion, it's good at MIDI, but it's not good at horns. It's also not good at lyrics, and I'm big on lyrics.
It's not good at lyrics. I listened to 3 different ones, and I'm like, I feel like I could have wrote something better than this. Right now it's from what I hear on those songs, it's given very cliche. But excuse me for saying this, lyrics right now aren't really where they need to be in mainstream artists.
Well,
Like,
yeah, I was gonna say if your quality of lyrics is on par with what AI is doing, then I'm not really out here for you anyway. You need to step your game up as far as I'm concerned. So have at it, AI. Make them want to be better than you.
Now you can put this stuff together, and I know you're holding back because I know you be having opinions. And like I said, this is AI, so you're not gonna hurt nobody's feelings.
I think I just personally kind of went through the same. I'm going through the same emotion. Get them. I'm going through the same emotions with the static art side, which was like, okay, this is cool. We went through the whole evolution together of the bots not being perfect and not like it was fun. It was kind of a lottery. It was kind of speculation, gambling. I don't know when you didn't know it was going to come out of the machine. And the wonky fingers, different things like that. And now it's like, okay, it got to the point where it was kind of so good and so much it was coming out that it kind of got boring to me. And along with the same, I think, and it was just too much. Like it was like, in my opinion, ruining platforms that I liked, that ruining platforms that I was using to discover other artists. And I think I hope that this doesn't happen in the music side as well, but it looks like it's already like the way that people can output so much using these tools. It's just like it just makes it harder to try to find what I'm looking for. And I went through that. I went through
True.
that on the static art side.
It's weird though. The algorithms are what's driving so much of what you hear, and it's interesting because I think there are certain types of music that it doesn't do as well as others, and so you won't see it there. And so, depending on what you listen to, you may never hear an AI song. Whereas, if you listen to a different genre, you may be inundated with it. That's also interesting. So, like, I don't even know what that means for like the difference in how people consume music. That's always seems to be like a moving target anyway. Since we got to streaming, because it forces the artist to constantly be on pivot mode because there's no steady revenue model. So now they're trying to make it with the touring. And that's why I say, like, if that's where your real money is, you are safe because AI can't touch you there, literally. So like you should feel some strength there. But to your point, to get to the point where you can have a tour, you'd have to have people that listen to you. And so now, because how you find people is streaming, yeah, I feel like it's also creating that other pressure for artists to be content creators so that they can create a community, quote unquote, fans. Yeah, so it's a lot going on, and you got to wear a lot of hats. Funny thing about it is AI can help them with a lot of that stuff. That's the ironic part of it. But there's somebody else sitting in the basement who wants to make music and doesn't know how, and they feel like AI can help them do that. And that person that posted in that Echo, whatever, all those tracks, they probably feel like they did something. Like they probably feel like they accomplished something. I mean, agree to disagree. You accomplished something. I wouldn't necessarily call you a musician or anything like that, but
that's gonna be the slippery topic too going forward. And to me, AI is kind of just like we're going through the new auto tune phase again. It's gonna be like, I don't know, but you guys did bring up a solid conversation around like the genre part, and that's the part that kind of bugs me the most. Is that once you kind of are like, okay, so for me, and I've had these different, thought processes. Like, I personally, being someone who, can make music, doesn't really anymore, but can make like R&B, rap, things like that, whatever. I wouldn't want to use AI to make that. So if I was like dabbling in AI music, and I was, I did a little, some Motown things way back in the day when Suno was like first the thing, but I wouldn't do a genre that I kind of like love or am versed in because it feels like, I don't know, I just wouldn't want to do that. But I feel like the people who are making that music, and you can tell sometimes they're not really, it's kind okay. Long story short, it's kind of like the new blackface, and I am not rocking with it. You feel me? This digital
Ooh,
blackface
that's
thing is just, it's like, it's going crazy, and yeah, it feels like an attack. It feels like an infiltration on some culture staple things.
I would
But
say be careful of being in your own bubble with that. As far as the AI thing, I think we are the digital blackface. The I feel like we are treated as a caricature globally, and we have been for decades, and that's going to happen in everything. Whether it's AI, music, anything we do, they're watching us to copy it. It's been that way. As it relates to this AI music, though, I would say it's probably more rampant in country and apparently the hard rock because they just yell and scream over a lot of noise, and AI can do that perfectly. So so it's really running up the charts in the heavy metal, death metal, country. They're going to make this wherever it's going to make the best song and make the most money. I think it's harder to make quality music that requires multiple layers of instrumentation um, and complex vocals, and you just happen to find that in only certain genres. I think you'll lower tiers, easy, like mumble rap, uh, you know, maybe like a little pop it R&B song where you're not really saying nothing about but something sexual and some nothing complicated. There's just a melody. It'll do that. They'll do that. But I think for us, speaking of like the black community, I think just maybe something might pop for like something cute, just like the Drizzy little track, but you couldn't sustain off of that. You couldn't have a whole album. You couldn't have multiple albums. Like we'll see through that. You make a cute track. We'll bop to it, sure, but we ain't gonna make you a superstar off your AI if it, from one thing.
mm, yeah, I think maybe that I am in my genre bubble because I wouldn't be listening to any death metal to hear the AI death metal come across my for you anyway type vibe. I mean, uh, but what about the training the training data and all that conversation? Because I mean, from what, yeah,
I feel like that's where I go next because it's got to start somewhere. Like you kind of did mention that this is roundabout similar to the beginning of like AI image generation with the bad hands and stuff. So you've gotta create in order to make things better. Um, but I think I mean I think with where we are with AI, even in the most rudimentary ways, we had people at the very beginning who were using those AI image generations and putting their own spin on it, putting their own twist on it to give you something that had a bit more substance than just, a raw generation. And we've talked about this before. I would love to see a mainstream artist take their musical genius and then add certain parts in AI or have certain generate certain instruments or generate certain beat patterns or something like that to help enhance what they're doing. But a lot this it sounds like raw generation to me. That's really what it sounds like. It sounds like raw generation. If this was actual a good lyric that was maybe trained on a a, a songwriter or a up and coming songwriter, helping them find better structure, metaphors, all the rest. Um, if we're taking multiple generated instrumental tracks and layering them, or multiple vocal tracks and layering them in some way, shape, or form to show me that you have some sort of taste, that you have some sort of idea that you're trying to convey with what you're making, not oftentimes what just sounds like a raw generation. Like maybe we would have less smoke for it if it was given more of that and less of let me just put it out here and flood, and flood social media like we used to talk about when it came to art, when it came to drop ship, when it came to some of those earlier conversations we had.
I think that's spot on. I think that makes all that's kind of like going to be the differentiator, but I think will also end up really being more in the lane of the production because I think that's going to be where it's more acceptable. I think it's going to be it will make songs, but they'll never be in competition with a certain level of human ability in terms of music. I feel like because at least vocally, maybe instrumentally it will get better because I think that's really not that far away. It can mimic a voice, but I think there's something about what a person brings emotionally to a vocal performance that we connect to that it does not like no, the conversation around consciousness is moot because it's not conscious, it's software. So it doesn't have life experiences to have emotions to like so there's no way for it to be able to replicate certain things. It could copy one person, that's what I'm saying, it could do a one trick pony kind of thing, but for consistency, I don't think this is where the battle is. The battle is the visual realm. That's where the fight really is, to where artists have to really defend themselves. Music, I think, will settle itself, and it will become a production tool, which is really what it should have been.
Yeah.
And the artists like Timberland and will.i.am that are so big about being boosters for it should really kind of have filtered it down to that and stayed kind of in that lane with it and kept it there. And even like Lupe Fiasco, I like the way he uses it. Like, remember he has that tool on Google. It won't write your lyrics for you. It helps you to write lyrics, or it helps you when you're stuck writing lyrics. It helps you find similes and metaphors. It's meant to be a tool to get you there, not to do it for you. So I think we'll get there with the music because I think we won't have a choice. Yes, it will always make some sort of low quality music. It'll be great for jingles. It'll be great for stuff like write me a custom song about my fiance. Like, sure, that that's kind of where it should be, honestly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like you bring up an interesting point about the visual, especially now when, I mean, that's truly what music is now. If there's not a compelling visual or a compelling person with a compelling visual, think I should say, behind the music, I don't really, feel like it's gonna break into most people's radar. And then when you come across what we are doing visually with AI, there's an opportunity for it to really, like the two of those, to really synthesize and do something good. But when we have this conversation, or I feel like we've kind of had versions of this, but when we have this conversation when there is someone who gives us both at the level that we look for, a good AI generated or AI assisted audio or vocal with a really compelling generated visual. Like, that sounds interesting. It sounds a little scary, and I don't know if I mean scary as far as like, oh no, I don't want it, but like, wow, like damn, we're here now. We've seen people experimenting with that, but not something that has really like broken in and everybody's been like, damn, this stuff is good. I mean, we were speaking a couple of months ago about a new AI generated series, like, that's being streamed. Like, where is we talk about there are no more superstars. Where's our AI superstar with the visual and the music?
Is this like an animated, or is it meant to be like realistic looking? The series?
No, definitely realistic. Definitely realistic. I mean, I think it's easy. It's been done, in animated style. When we think about, vocoder superstars like Hatsune Miku and stuff like that. But no, this is very much. I mean, we're thinking sci-fi, but definitely based on, real humans that have been not necessarily real humans, but real, real humanoid generations.
I mean, it's so good now. Like it wasn't a couple of years ago. My response to it would have been slightly different, but it's so good now. The realism side of it, that I can't have any doubts about it. I feel like it will be able to make something that looks as real as anything else does on the screen, at least. And the challenge has been consistency, but I think they have ways around that. I think if you have enough money to pay for the tools to use them that way, you can get enough consistency. And this is where we are now. So 3 years, 2 years, whatever, it's just going to keep getting better. So yeah, it's a Western world to think about where you might be safe as a musician, but I guess maybe plays like theater would be safe, but not anything else. Like that's kind of crazy that we would go back to that, because anything on the screen is fair game to it. I think the difference between music and visual content is we've already accepted so much of a lower bar for what we receive visually on TV and movies. So it's at the point where it doesn't have that far to reach to be entertaining, right? it probably can do better than most of what we look at currently, because at least it would be new and not just them doing a reboot.
Interesting. My guy Nacho in the building. What's going on, family? How you doing? Yeah, talking AI.
I think we would suffer. I think we would suffer for it, though. I think we would have as a culture, like, we remember sitcoms as they used to exist. That doesn't exist anymore. Like, TGIF and like all that stuff. Like these kids don't have any reference for that. And it's not to say that like that made us a better culture, but I think there's something to say for like a shared experience where we all laughed at something that was quote unquote wholesome for the time, every week, and just kind of took that break from life and whatever was going on, and we all could have that little bit of whatever. And then Saturday morning cartoons for the kids, and and this was just on the free TV. There was didn't have to be cable or a satellite. You just needed a TV. So yeah, it's like there's something to be said for that, and the loss of that, and that's not going to be a substitute for it. So not looking forward to it, but I don't see us avoiding it.
Yeah, and I think and this left my brain just a moment ago when I was trying to reach for it again to say, but it seems like, and again, always speculation, but it seems like what may happen is we'll always still have that kind of mainstream, even though it might be diminished just a bit. But I think we might see the rise of like more niche artists, kind of thing on the music tip, more niche artists, more more music genres that are rewarding actual artists while we have kind of the mainstream that is, I don't want to say littered, but for lack of a better term, littered with artists and tech and things like that. I've always been one that believes that there's a place for everything, and I think that came from me growing up being a real pop girly, and like having folks like Britney Spears be my North Star, but then people talk, at one time spoke so badly about her and her music. Um, Kind of like not necessarily similarly, but almost a bit like they talk about AI. Like it's at that time it was vapid. There was nothing going on in it. We were lip syncing all the time. Some of the same stuff we hear, like we've even said in this conversation about AI music, it's not clear enough. There's no real depth. There's no real meaning. But when I wanted to have fun and turn up and be one of the raws, I'm turning on Britney. You know, if I want to be cerebral, I might turn on Mozart. I think there will be a lane for all of it. Um, I think that ultimately diminishes the mainstream lane, but then you have, our hardcore R&B people, or our hardcore pop people, or our hardcore screamo. Which, when you go look for that, you know the people that you're gonna find, the people that you're gonna check for, um, and we'll continue to see people more and more get on that touring tip. And if you want to go hear your favorite artists and get the real stuff, you got to go pay some money and see them in person, because they're not going to be releasing all the stuff because they got to compete with the AI over here in the mainstream track.
And I think that honestly is probably a good advice for anybody that's a new artist, because instead of like stressing yourself out about algorithms you can't control, you could totally like repeat a formula that has existed for decades in a place
Yeah.
like Nashville, for example. Like they have a whole system where the whole point, and there's a great movie about this with Sandra Bullock, and Christian Slater, I think. I forget. It's a cool movie. But yeah, they have like a whole like lifestyle where you gotta play in the bars and get your time in, basically, and
Yeah.
prove yourself in front of people. And if you're good, then these are the people that actually, if they approve of you, this is where the record companies would go to scout. Because if you can win this city over, then you can win the country over, basically, is how they feel. And I think that, there's something to be said for people to like go find the places where you can perform where you live, and try to win the people over right in front of you instead of chasing the internet down. And even if you don't live in a place like New York, LA, or whatever, start where you live. Get the confidence to then go to one of those places and do it there. It's just something to think about, so that you're not like burying yourself in this insurmountable battle against an algorithm that you can't beat necessarily. You can get lucky, or you can know somebody, or you can find and meet somebody, but but you can't beat the algorithm.
And I think that's going back to old school. Like when I think about conversation we used to have with people like Jamie Cornelia, that was what they spoke about. That was how they built a lot of their fan base. And those people still check for them and continue to, as long as you continue to connect with them and give them better ways to connect with you, i.e. social media, or even like IRL. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, I see Nacho was talking about the A24 and Google deal, and a lot of people being upset about it. I don't know the specifics about what that deal does. Like, what does that mean? Are they generating entire movies, or is Google training off of the movies that they made so that they can make better videos? Like, I don't really know the specifics about it. I do know people are just bothered by the fact that they're doing anything AI. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the wrong move for all of these. Anybody that's in creation as a business, the smarter move for them all would have been to take the hard line and say tool only, no nothing that replaces the person. That should have been a hard line, so they could have set the tone and forced it as this is the only thing that will be acceptable. So I don't know. Guess we'll all find out together.
Truly.
I was pulling up that little article. Let me see. A24 wants you to be nice about its deal.
And I mean, I understand it. There's something to be said about there's got to be somebody to show how to do it well. But then when you come against A24, like Nacho said, who has been behind some of the largest cinema hits that we've seen in theaters in the past probably decade, if not 15, 20 years. A24 has always been known for such creative, thought-provoking work. And then with people, and even the conversation that we just had with a lot of people thinking that AI cannot create something well-made and thought-provoking, I can see them being scared that the stock in A24 is going to drop if it's going to turn into using AI, whether it is for screenplays or visual effects or the rest, because oftentimes, like we talked about, the creativity that's in our minds cannot yet be replicated through software. So I see how people are mad, but I feel like we need it. We have to be okay with this because it's not going to stop. I know it makes it sound like resistance is futile, is what I'm saying, but not necessarily. I think something that stands out was from that video, and it was like the threat to humanity is not AI, but it's the lack of learning. Like we can ultimately still control so much of this, but if we do not learn how it works or learn how we can bend it to help us be more creative or create better things more efficiently, uh, that's when society itself, I feel like, it's probably going to start to fall.
And speaking of that, let me share this. So one of the things I was leading over the top of the hour. LAUSD, second largest school district in the nation, bans classroom screen time before second grade and has caps for grades upper or above that. So right now, preschool through first grade, no screen time. Second and third grade, an hour, 40 minutes per week. Fourth and fifth grade, 2 hours, 30 minutes per week. Sixth through eighth grade, 6 hours per week. Ninth through 12th grade, 10 hours per week. Those are probably going to have to get tweaked for sure, especially second, third, fourth, and fifth. Wish I could speak on this. We hit it on it tomorrow. Oh, never mind. Well, I see what you're saying. Never mind. But yeah, soon. Homework is also included in the totals, which will be monitored through screen time tracking software. Which
this is on devices that they're giving the kids to use.
Yes.
Okay, but that has nothing to do with their personal devices.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's plenty of students where that's the only device they have. I get that, and so they're probably thinking they're the most vulnerable, so to speak. So in their thought process, they think poorer means you need the most help in all areas, so to speak. I think all the kids equally are at vulnerability for this, and probably the ones who have personal devices are even more at risk because they can just use that and probably don't even try to use the school one. Yeah, but no, I think it's a start. I was just curious if that was what they were talking about, their devices that they're giving.
Yeah. The fact that parents arguing against screen time also seems well. Here's the Okay, hold on. A couple things. How will be monitored and tracking for homework, but they're not sending home devices. Um, you don't have kids, okay. But I think so. This got a petition from an affluent area out here in LA. The thing is, I think um a lot of programs, a lot of kids in some of the areas that need it the most are utilizing these tech tools, utilizing these, these computers, these screens to learn. And it's a very it's very it feels very redliney. um and we're gonna have to see how it plays out. But a lot of people are upset because kids are utilizing, and kids have been especially in LAUSD and LA, have been utilizing a bunch of tech tools, a bunch of um screen time tools to learn, and it is working. So it just kind of seems like a rollback against tech when we're looking at other headlines like A24 leading um uh film studio of the decade or whatever, partnering with Google. It's like all of that's just like, okay, well, looks like we're just leaving kids behind again. It's like we're trying, like schools are trying to fight tech again, which it's not, it's not, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And unfortunately, some of the kids in some of the areas that need these tools the most are gonna get left behind, and it's unfortunate. But
Okay, so
why do you need
this is real interesting because I'm like, let me see if I can jump back up here. Um, and this is just a question: how will it be monitored for tracking for homework but they're not sending home devices? Do y'all not get devices?
I don't I don't know if all of I don't know.
And I know this is not everywhere. I definitely understand that. My IST, like, they hand out Chromebooks, so you're expected to have them in class, take them home. What we're seeing a lot down here is kind of the backlash against using them so much when it comes to that. Not necessarily the screen time, um, but I mean, we get issued a Chromebook and it stays with you until it breaks or you graduate. So that's some interesting stuff to see that they are um trying to limit screen time. I do understand that it needs to be limited in some sort, but then also as someone who's in the classroom, I see it. I see how it Chromebook shackles. Come on. I also see the benefit. Look, kind of like what B was saying. It has been a benefit in some communities. I teach in a community where I see that it's been a benefit. Um, but where I also feel like these devices are reaching our students where they are. And then also, and again, as somebody in the classroom, when we have to differentiate so much for so many students, it makes it easier for students to advocate for themselves, to take the information, place it into school approved tools that help them scaffold and differentiate for themselves. So it definitely gives students a lot more advocacy over their own education. And it also gives teachers a little bit of a break from having to differentiate for probably up to 4 or 5 different um, different needs of students. So that's to hear that they are limiting that when I know here and at my school we have 7 to 8 periods a day where we're using a Chromebook isn't necessarily mandatory, but it is encouraged. Um, I don't know. I kind of feel like that limit is a slippery slope, and then you get into places who may not pro- that may not provide resources for all their students, and then I definitely see where the pushback is going to be with things like you want them to do all this, but you don't give them the devices to be able to do it. And I see they running up in the chat because I keep my over here and they running up, so I see what's popping off.
What? Nobody said anything. What you talking about?
Well, I'm just talking about we see the conversation going, not like popping off, but I just see the conversation going.
No, they're having a good conversation
Yeah,
about the role of phones in the classroom. I think Nacho is talking about the phone as having a role as a distraction device, but I think that's a different thing from the child having a phone
yeah.
altogether. I
And
think
here, I mean, let's not talk about that, but um, we don't use our personal devices very often, or at least we're not supposed to. I mean, as for certain teachers, I have to use my personal device to play my music and things like that, but personal devices aren't generally a large distraction, at least in my classroom and other ones around here.
But yeah, Mrs. V was making clear to Nacho why it's not as simple as saying no phones in the classroom.
Correct.
I think it's nuanced to the point where it should be clear that you should not have your phone out playing with it, but you shouldn't be in their pockets. I'm very clear on that. But parent or no parent, you shouldn't be in their pockets. If they haven't done anything violent or anything that would give you any reason to be in their pockets, you shouldn't be in their pockets. Mind your business. If their parents gave them a phone, that's their business.
I mean, and I do know oftentimes personal devices have have been weaponized against teachers. So I do think there's a bit there that is protecting not only students from distraction, but teachers from having them weaponized against them. I do think in extreme enough situations, there are opportunities where it doesn't matter. Like I need my phone to contact a parent. As a parent, I need my child to have their phone so that I can contact them with a matter that may not be open to me calling up to the school and then having me patch through to the classroom. Um, but I believe that there are protocols for that. We have them definitely for our school, and I think that oftentimes how we always talk about things starting at the home, there should be a protocol for that, you know, in between parents and children so that it can be and have that communicated to who their teacher is so that they can understand in these situations. I have given consent for my child to contact me, and I don't care what you say about it. And if you got an issue, then it's easy for me to run up there real quick.
All right,
You know
so
what I'm saying?
yeah, we've got Hey Miss V. She popped into the call. And yeah, we're getting back to the old OhnahjiU Saturday vibes. I like it.
Get it.
People up on stage, all that good stuff. All right, Hey Miss V, pop on up. I definitely wanted to talk about what Nacho was saying as well too. Nacho, but yeah, I'm gonna hit you up in just a second as well too. Hey Miss V in the building. Hey Miss V, how you doing? How you feeling? Can you hear us?
Hello.
Mic check. Yep, we can hear
You can
you.
hear me?
We can hear you. Welcome to
Hey,
OhnahjiU
friends.
Saturday.
Welcome.
I can't say a lot, but I just wanted to go back to the article of what the guidelines were. So they're no longer letting the kids go home with their devices.
Gotcha.
So I think the younger grades, I don't know if it was for like high school and middle school too, but the younger grades, they're not sending them home with devices anymore. They're not allowing and the other part of the article that was confusing that still is not really clear is that it says this was approved, ban, 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 ban. And then it says, here are the guidelines for times. And so my theory is that they're saying guidelines because it's going to be really impossible to track every individual child's time on the internet or on a screen, or if it's left up for 5 extra minutes because of technical difficulties or whatever that may look like. It's like just for legal purposes to say guidelines if they're under or go over. But then the other piece of it is that they're also not allowing kids to have access to social media on those devices or YouTube on those devices, which I have been asking for them to turn YouTube off on computers for years because of I'm not a YouTube friend. But yeah, so there's just like a lot of parameters that I think are still really unclear, especially for folks that are like in schools or trying to use the devices in schools and for the kids that are using the devices because again, it does not include after school programs. It doesn't include like preschool, like any kind of before school program. So it's just literally the hours of the school day.
So I just want to make sure I heard you. So they're going to take away or already block certain things like social media, but it sounds like you're saying they're going to finally take away the YouTube access.
Yeah, so they will no longer have access to YouTube and social media websites during school hours on those devices, which I find to be interesting too, because a lot of like we're not in LASD and like for our kids, but I see that a lot of their assignments and their things are like videos on YouTube. Even the ones where they have to do the little quizzes on it, it's like plays the YouTube video, stops, asks a question, it's a multiple choice. Then you go on to the next section of the YouTube video. So I think that's going to also be interesting too if they're not allowing YouTube.
So and so they're also not allowing them to take them home. So I guess
Correct.
I'm confused about what their guidelines are supposed to be limiting. If they're only able to use it for educational content, they're only able to use it at school. What? Yeah, I'm just confused. What are they supposed to be restricted from doing, unless they're talking about what they're doing at home on their own time,
When you say restricted, do you mean like
or not restricted,
what?
but what the guidelines are suggesting? Like what are those guidelines meant to be applied to, if not this device and the usage on that device?
Right. So a lot of the school time I think is spent on devices, whether it's like Google Classroom, Google Docs, those kind of programs. And those are like all of that will no longer be allowed. They're pushing them back to pen and paper.
Oh, so this is more so that the curriculum should be adjusted so that there should not be a reason for them to be on these stuff. I get it. So this is
Yeah,
guidelines
essentially, yes.
for the teachers,
Yes.
not the students and their usage. It's for the curriculum. Got it.
Correct. But that's also when you think about how long it takes to get curriculum approved and what that looks like for lesson planning and everything else. That's not even I mean, it's beyond a school district level, depending on what state you live in.
Yeah,
So
that's a
sometimes that's at
mess.
a state level. Right. So in
Yeah.
California, I think we have a little bit more leeway when it comes to curriculum but and like who approves it and what does that look like, but there's still standards that have to be met, so it's going to be interesting to see because they're allowed to go outside of those guidelines like in kindergarten, first grades, for testing purposes. So now you're going to have teachers trying to figure out how to have those kids that haven't been on computers learning all year, now they're doing their testing and it's on computers.
Uh, this is just gonna make. Yeah, I got to find another thing to do for my 9 to 5.
Correct.
Because this trickles up to higher education, right? So like higher education has adjusted itself at this time in an uncomfortable manner to be accommodating to all of this constantly online. The Chromebook kid, basically, that's who we have had to
Right.
adjust to as an industry. And so now, if the trend is changing, that's just going to make that have to change again on the back. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it shouldn't change, because the Chromebook kids are a lot once they get, in college. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's probably not going to be neat. It never is. Yeah.
So it's just going to be interesting to see also when it talks about those guidelines for homework and how it's going to be used by software tracking. It has to be for the older grades because they're not sending Chromebooks home.
Interesting.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. It's like it's affecting a lot of things. So, and in the
Yeah.
end, like
Yeah.
the kids are gonna well, and I think also they're gonna be like in the classroom, like wanting to be on their devices. Now they're really not gonna want to like they're really gonna want to go home all the time now because they have their devices at home. Because I truly don't think that's gonna change how device handling is at home.
Yeah, if anything,
I
it,
agree.
it changes for the kids who had the advantage of having that Chromebook at home. So they had a device, like, maybe that was their device to the internet at home. So now they won't have one. So that sucks in a way. But I guess if they couldn't use it for anything fun anyway, they might not care. So yeah, keep the damn thing.
Let's be clear. They find their way around that constantly. Like I'm in the classroom, and they're gonna find their way around their YouTube. They're gonna find their way around. I have kids who would literally try to watch Truly, and I say this not kidding, The Bear in my class. When we're supposed to be working on classroom work, they're gonna find their way around it in some way, shape, or form.
So that's because they obviously let them have the Play Store so they can install things, right?
Well, I mean, over here for hours, no, but there are websites like our whole IT department
Oh,
continue.
it doesn't know about, so it can't block it until they
Correct.
find out.
Until it's
Yeah.
found, and then it's found, and they block it. Like that's
Well, they need to.
I've had some of that myself because with our students, YouTube, social media is already blocked, but YouTube is blocked if you do not pay your tech fee. So that's another issue that I kind of have this from the wayside for that. But because there are so many good resources on YouTube, I'm not teaching dances through YouTube, but definitely when we are, when we're learning about new concepts, or if students need to see an example of a historical person or historical, movements and things like that, or have access to seeing Ailey when I can't take them on a field trip to go see Ailey in New York City. We have those opportunities. And so I've had to find workarounds around that myself by downloading the video and putting it in classroom so that students who don't have that access can see. And so there's so much, and it's not necessarily nuance. I feel like so much of it is legislation and people that I think folks are, especially at the higher level, are trying to appease the folks with the money and not always thinking about the access for everyone. I mean, I definitely see that in my school district. I feel like I see that in a lot of other school districts across the nation. But there aren't any, for lack of a better term, guidelines that will really make this equitable for every student to have what they need so that they can learn in the way that's best for them.
I mean, there is something to be said to, I think, the more of an overall point, not just trying to make without trying to tell people how to parent, but I think there was a time where we all did this a certain way, where we all kind of got through this without all of these bells and whistles.
It's true.
And even to your point, I thought it was interesting because you said, like, well, you have to download and show it in the class. And I'm not nitpicking, but it was kind of like you said, as if that was like inconvenient. And just like in my mind, I was like, that's kind of an equalizer because it goes back to the old way where everybody watches it together. Everybody saw it. It was communal, like rather than just assuming they watched it on their device whenever they watched it. So yeah, I mean, I know that's to me kind of the struggle about that change of curriculum, is because then it's like, well, it's, if educators have been conditioned to adapt to the Chromebook kid, like now you're trying to wind them back and make them figure out how to do it. What it sounds like Mrs. B is saying, it's a hybrid way, which is even more weird because you still have to keep one foot in both sides. Like, yeah, I don't wish anybody fun in any of that. It sounds like a nightmare, as it usually is anyway, right? They never make it easy, even though they could.
I mean, hey, W Convo, y'all cooking. I think, and shout out to the conversation. Not sure you brought up a great point in chat, but to me, it's all just like all I've ever known is schools and school systems and public schools kind of just fighting tech. I mean, you mentioned, yeah, we got through it, we didn't do it, we didn't have all these phones and all that good stuff. Yeah, but we had CD players, we had, somebody had some cassette players, somebody had iPods, somebody had, Pogs and dice and cards and all kind of stuff. There was always a distraction to where kids brought something to school, since school, to where it was a distraction. It was more fun, and it was something that they would rather do than school. I have always said in a bunch of these rooms, with teachers, with in meetings and all that good stuff, like, I mean, I get it. Teachers have a hard job. They get it. They're not paid enough. All that good stuff. I'm on the side of all of that, but you are teaching the future. You're supposed to care about that situation. I think it takes a special, like, public servant for teachers to be teachers, and more power to the ones that really care about kids and really can go like decades. I've seen plenty of teachers that just used to be superstar teachers, love the kids, love what they're doing, and they just get burnt out, and that's normal. And once they get burnt out, it's like, okay, but then they're at the end of their tenure, they're making the most money that they've ever made. It's like, I can't really leave, but then they really are like battling with these kids and battling with the tech. There's new kids with new tech and new interests and shorter attention spans. I mean, their teachers are flipping out, but I think it's just a lose-lose situation. But the argument around, oh, the kids have phones, I don't think they should have phones. We didn't have phones. Yeah, but we had plenty of other distractions. I could point to them all the way back. Some kids was bringing jacks to school, and I wasn't even alive. You feel me? Like, let's keep it a beat. So,
I think, like, I've been staying close to this too and reading the comments, and I think, well, we were talking about this the other day, B. It was like they have this obsession with getting kids back to pen and paper, like that's going to create some kind of magical, like, ability to be able to compose better. And I think that the output is not the issue, is like how they're getting the output, whether it's writing, whether it's typing, whether it's whatever. It's how are we teaching composition? Because they're right. Like, the kids can't read, they can't write, they can't do anything. You've got GPT now, like all of the things. But also, how are we just evolving to give them tools? And I think part of the composition problem is that we are still stuck on the pen and paper and not utilizing the newer tools in a way that makes sense to them to be able to learn the composition better. Because I truly think that they think going back to pen and paper is going to magically make these kids like great sentence writers, or whatever that may look like. But it's not. You have to give them the tools to be able to learn better on the tools that we have available and not the tools that we're leaving behind in the past.
100%. You can't, it doesn't matter if they're using pen and paper, if the exercise they're doing does not encourage critical thinking, it doesn't matter. It's still just creating a proxy. If anything, you're just giving them better handwriting. I don't know, it's not, it's stupid in a way because they don't have any reason to write things. So, as we often see in higher education, where you often still kind of have old processes with forms, and they're like, huh, what? Like, it's a foreign thing, and you're looking at them like they're stupid. Like, well, it's just a piece of paper, read it and fill it out. But for them, it's not that they can't read, it's just like they don't understand what you're asking them to do as an exercise. They like, why isn't this just something I can click? So yeah, I get it. The obsession with pen and paper, it makes me wonder if it's not as much about them, the kids, or getting back to an environment they can control, because I feel like they put themselves in a weird corner as school districts across the country, where they invited the device into the classroom. That's where things shifted. I think before that, yes, you could have your Walkman, you could have whatever Game Boy, but if some teachers, depending on where you teach, maybe you can't say put that away. But most teachers, you would expect them to have in the past said put that away. It wasn't the lesson there wasn't that you were okay to have those things. Yes, they existed, but that person was being a disruption. It wasn't everybody in the class with the disruption on their desks. It wasn't everybody with a Game Boy versus everybody with a Chromebook. So I feel like, depending on what your thoughts on educators are in terms of school districts and people who practice at that level on that side of the fence, there's a conversation to be said about how they want to control the classroom. And I think it's hard for them to have a say in an environment that they've created now, where the device has been invited. So if they can get rid of that device, they then have an ability to be able to say no to other devices, and start to get back some of the control that they think they had or want to have.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And some of the best teachers I've ever met in my life have been the ones that aren't trying to control the classroom. It's a collaborative environment, and they know that it's the individuals that know that they can learn a lot from these students, and they treat them like humans, and they treat them like, not an authoritative or whatever, something like that, where it's just, the school to prison pipeline. They're just, wardens in the building. I don't know.
Oh,
Not sure
for
how to
sure, but
go ahead.
but they don't let them make policy. Unfortunately, that's the problem, right?
Facts. Nacho had a great point, and I think I've had a couple conversations with some of the teachers who kind of do struggle in classroom, and there's some of the superstars, right? The cool ones, the cultured ones, all that good stuff, but they still struggle with getting all of the kids involved, because of phones and different things like that. I've heard them say, if it was up to me, phones would be gone, because I care about students. I hear the parents, and if there was a situation, I'm going to go out of my way, lay my life on the line for these kids, because that's my job. Not all teachers is going to do that, and he realized that, and he realizes parents know that as well too. So you can't, the phones out of the classroom, turn the phones off. Parents at this point today will fight that to the death, and they have a good reason to. He's also one of the people that has been brainstorming around AI, and is saying, okay, AI is a new tech piece. Schools are going to be behind on it again, because it is tech, and because it's making the lives of people, the people's lives easier in a bunch of different aspects. And he was saying, like what you're saying, they need to get back to critical thinking skills. We need to get back to the whys and the hows of what's working, and like eliminating busy work. But so many classrooms just rely on busy work. You know what I'm saying? So, but to Nacho's point, he said, I guess the counter argument would be like, if you don't want to teach someone how to do math using calculator, or if they can't do basic math, like a kid can just press 2 + 2 on a calculator to get the right answer, but did they learn the why? Well, I think there's a fine line between decades or different sections of time, and teaching people with technology. Like, we don't teach, like schools today with the curriculum, and the curriculum is always evolving because of tech and because of the changing landscape. That we are always evolving what we're teaching and what we're dropping off to not teach anymore. There are plenty of topics and plenty of different things in math, reading, writing, arithmetic, all that good stuff that we really don't get to anymore, because we don't have time, and because it's a changing landscape. It's the same thing now. The curriculum is ever evolving. It needs to evolve faster, because AI is really putting a wrench into everything. And screen time or not, like, the kids are going to find a way to utilize these tools. It's the same conversation, but instead of battling it, and teachers and admin and all that good stuff, battling parents, battling the kids, if everybody just worked together and collaborated, we would get somewhere. We we really would. We would get somewhere. So It's all
Yeah,
good.
I mean, education got highly politicized when I think it was the No Child Left Behind and all that stuff came up, and that was when that was kind of the first time in a long time that something national was kind of being imposed on districts, and ever since then, it's changed in a way that has been more of like a wholesale understanding of how education is meant to work. Whereas you had a lot of schools that were just doing their own thing state by state, and some were much better than others. It's still that way, certainly, because it's a lot tax driven. It's still coming for the money, from the money. So there are some states that have more money than others. But in terms of like their standards that have been imposed, um, there's been a lot of relaxation from all of that. But I think that just from an industry perspective and watching how they come up into higher education and the change that created, it changed how even you had to do admissions, uh, how you recruited. And so then the next big change was the Chromebook thing. And I think that what you're saying is spot on, B. It really is just a matter of the thought process behind the curriculum. And I think it became something that felt like a fight when that No Child Left Behind thing started. And the fight never really stopped for the educators versus policymakers. And then parents started becoming more involved as education became more of a political argument than an argument about actually education itself. That's kind of the soup that we're still in. I think that it's just a matter of kind of it all shaking out to a certain extent. A lot of this is going to be driven by politics. Like either side could have an opinion. It kind of matters more in terms of the outcome, who's in charge. So I think the important thing when it comes to this conversation, if you're a parent or if you're not a parent and you just care about kids in general, then education should be important in terms of how you vote, because that's going to be a big determining factor in how policy is made around education. And to the point that's being made, like that Texas is having this thing now where, and maybe boss, you can speak to this if you've heard anything about it, but about having to do Bible verses or something. I mean, that's just, to me, that's wild, because the whole separation of church and state thing. But like, what if you don't believe that? Like you're allowed to believe other things, believe nothing at all. Like I don't know, that's just crazy to me. But yeah, have you heard anything about that, or like if you feel comfortable to speak on it?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I mean, this past year we got state mandated 10 commandments has to be posted in every classroom as well. So this has been something that has continued for a while. Yeah. Growing up in Texas public school, I remember in high school we did have to read. We had to read the book of Job. Because there for in what ICD was talking about, and I'm jumping all over. Was that there's now big legislation in Texas being spoken about for the summer reading for Texas school students. I think in elementary levels, in addition to other novels, pieces, historical text, they are slowly but surely trying to incorporate Bible verses into this, primarily the parables of Jonah and the whale, David and Goliath, and there's one more I can't remember off the top of my head. But there's been a lot of pushback because of the separation of church and state, and people like, okay, we may not be Christians. Why are we reading from a Christian text? And for me, I mean, I grew up with it. I understand the separation. I think if it was not placed in a biblical context, the things I think that we could probably still have students understand concepts and illustrate concepts in a better way. But I think a lot of it comes from the historical context and being able to understand that language. But I think all of it became the going alignment. And I agree with this. I do think that if we're reading passages from the Bible, that as we get into middle school and high school, there should be other, religious historical texts that we can read, not only to give students a wider example of not only language, but world religions, the overlap of some, the contrast of others, and then also show a bit of inclusion because everyone who is in Texas public school is not white nor Christian. So I think being able to have a more well-rounded system is beneficial. But I do remember as a public school student reading passages from the Bible, but not reading anything from the Quran, not hearing anything from, any Asian religious texts and such. So for me, I just think if you're going to have one, you should have them all, or at least have opportunities along their school career to be exposed to other ones, not just one. I don't mind the Ten Commandments being up, but we need to have other things up as well. Just like we have anchor charts that talk about, cultural practices in Africa versus Asia versus South America versus North America. These anchor charts that we have that show the wide breadth of what happens here on the globe. We need to have that also in things that we read in other texts like that. So,
yeah, more power to you, B and Mrs. B. I don't. If I had kids, I don't know how I would handle education. I don't. I wouldn't want any part of any of this. Like none of this. Like, why are you talking to my kids about religion at all? Mind your business. Teach them 1 + 1. Stay in your lane. Like you don't want them to learn about this long list of other things that are cultural or social. Why are you talking about this? Mind your business.
B, can you bring up that article?
Yes.
And like, I'm definitely not defending it, but I don't think it's coming. I don't think it's necessarily coming from. And I mean, it may. I mean, it's Texas, y'all. I mean, shit. Come on, sorry. There's a part of me that doesn't think that it's going to be so God-based. I'm hoping that many teachers will look at this as an opportunity to illustrate examples, not the
thou shalt worship no other God but
correct.
God, yeah, yada yada.
Correct. Because there are concepts and
teach that.
I think general lessons that we can learn from these stories, not Adam and Eve. You know what I mean? But yeah, wait, the proposal which mandates literary works such as Great Expectations alongside passages from the New Testament has been closely followed by education observers who said it appears to be the first of its kind in the nation. It is a departure from letting schools or teachers decide what students read. For us, it was never schools or teachers. I read Great Expectations alongside, the Book of Job and things like that. But also, why are we still reading Great Expectations? Do we not have other texts that that could illustrate some of the same? Do we not have?
Ne've been banned, boss.
Modern artists. What?
They've been banned.
Oh, look, you ain't never lied at that. You have never lied about that. I see through. They have definitely been banned.
Yes, we have other things. They've been banned.
Oh, it, all of this just sounds like a larger part of this big, loud extinction burst, and all of these wild rollbacks that come out of left field. It's like separation of church and state was at the beginning. So it's crazy.
But
I don't
that's
know. It's
I
but
mean, it was
the
never really
merging of
fully
both
there.
is the merging of both is where politics is right now. The
yeah.
very much the merging of both is where politics is right now.
And mind you, I'm speaking as a person who went to Catholic school, so
Mm,
I had no choice. But that wasn't a choice of like my family. That was because it was a private school that was, in a good location, yada yada. Like it fit whatever list that my parental units was shopping for at the moment. At that time, the public schools here were really bad. So if you had the means, then you did not send your kid to the public school. That said, I would guarantee probably 99% of my classmates, none of us are Catholics. Like none of us, unless they already were. And yeah, some of the ones that were, I don't, okay, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was just like, I didn't feel indoctrinated.
Mhm.
My teachers were nuns. The priests smoked cigarettes and cursed. Like, it was a school, like, like hypocrites everywhere. It doesn't matter.
I would hope that teachers in the majority of generations that we have in public school right now would try their best to make it more inclusive. I know, and I teach in the same building with people I know um, who would teach. There's no other guy before me, but thankfully they're not the ones with summer reading. All of our English teachers, our librarians are the ones that understand how diverse our communities are and that we should have something so that everyone can be seen, thankfully, but I know that's not the case everywhere. And I also think that is where we should have a separation of church and state, because politics right now here in this country, and I mean in Texas always has been, but have leaned very Republican, very right. But then those aren't the people that are in the trenches with these kids.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I said, it's unfortunate that they don't, let teachers make policy. I think I was fortunate to go to public school for high school, and that's why I did experience school without religion. So I feel like I had a bit of both. Enough, the difference between all religion and none, like I can really say there was none in high school. No, there was nobody teaching us anything unless it was to the point you're making, boss, that it was like a comparative exercise or part of the history class, really, or like we, in Latin class, there was something contextually important about their history. People don't really pay attention to it now because they think of it as mythology, but all of this stuff about Zeus and like the gods, like that was their religion, the same way that, hardcore, they went to temples and prayed and all that stuff. So, that was the context in which we got it, but it was educational. It wasn't like to teach us how to think about life or this is what you should do as a lesson. It was like, you're learning this word because this was associated with the temples of whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that is where it's okay, because there is no indoctrination angle. Like you can't come at that as a parent and feel bad like your kid is being taught something you don't want them to learn, because it's just contextual. So if there's a way to teach contextually, then to me that's the way to do it. But yeah, more power to you. I don't know how I would hope I made enough money that we could homeschool or something, like like just do it ourselves.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it's fun and it's cool. You just got to be, but we're in a blessed position to be involved, and try to advocate for as many kids that with parents that can be, you know what I'm saying? And it's rough, it's hard, but um I don't know what's that. Oh, in LA, we out here fighting. We out here fighting people trying to still read To Kill a Mockingbird. It's like, no, we got other texts we can read. We don't need to put them kids through that type vibing.
God, that's such a great book, though. I know.
It is, but hey,
there are so many problematic things. It is so much of classic literature. Like, one of my favorites was Wuthering Heights, and I mean, we decenter men around here, so like we can't you can't be reading that and then teaching other stuff.
Well, it's crazy because I was just talking to people at work yesterday about how like I was 10 reading that book, The Bluest Eye, Invisible Man. Like I was obviously ahead as a reader reading that, but I was not interested in the books in my age group. And so in the library, like that's how they kind of grouped books by your age group, and like those were the books for like the high school kids. So that's where I was. So that's where I read.
Same.
And yeah, so like I was talking to somebody that was white about it, and she's read some of those books. So she was like, at that age, she was like, really? At that, I was like, yeah. She was like, well, what did you think? I was like, well, I don't know. Like I understood that there was some subject matter that I didn't like. I understood with like a sexual. So like I'm 10. I don't know the intricacies of like certain things, but I understood enough. I'd seen some cable, like I can make it through this chapter without being completely confused. Like if this, I know it wasn't good. Like I understood the emotions that were being portrayed in the book without having to be completely in tune with everything that an adult understood. So I still took a lesson that was important to take, even if I didn't fully understand it as a child. Rereading it as an adult was a completely different experience, and not like things I would never really remember because I just didn't process it. It's like my mind is like, okay, that was bad. Next chapter, like next page. So I think it's not bad for kids to read it if they can understand the vocabulary and if they are emotionally stable as kids already. Like if they got stuff going on and traumas, then don't give them adult things that they shouldn't be exposed to. But if they're generally stable kids and their mind can process the words, let them read whatever they want. Like my parents do. Let them read whatever they want.
And I think very much, and this is something that I take myself in for me and my own personal teaching philosophy. What goes on in my classroom is going to be for the best interest of all my kids. So I'm not gonna bug the system too much. But if I don't super agree, we might, I might ask you, I don't teach English, but I might ask you, did you read this summer reading, which is great, but we're going to, in my classroom, talk about the concepts around it, not like the text as a, as an end all be all. I mean, I already feel like that about the Bible myself, but it's something for us conceptually, but not as exactly what this is. Like up in my classroom, we're gonna do this in a way that's going to help my students. And I know all my students are not these monolithic humans, robots, I should say, that all learn the same way or have the same lived experiences. So we're gonna talk about this in a couple different ways, and then I'm gonna turn this around and say, okay, if your culture is different from this, come help educate us about how you feel about it, or your thoughts or your lived experiences. Ms. V asked, do we still do the pledge in class? We do in Texas. It's actually a different pledge than what I did when I grew up. But
not the Lone Star got its own pledge.
No, we do. Yeah, we have out of the Texas flag. Absolutely.
I'm crying.
But we still do our pledge allegiance, all that as well. But what
just in case they succeed again.
Don't
never know.
Don't come for Texas about that, because we feel some kind of way. Even I feel some kind of way about that. Let Texas secede. Yes, let us go. But not because we own that BS. Like Texans just feel some kind of way about it. But sorry, long story long. What's really interesting to me is that for neither one, our students don't have much respect for it. The only people who do the pledges are usually my students who are immigrant families and non-American.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first, boss. 2.0 Dina Combs over at the U is one of those superstar teachers.
I'll be trying.
That we
be
talking
like,
about.
you do too much, Coach Smith. But even still, I'm like, well,
that's funny.
I guess you don't do enough. Come on, come get on the winning team.
We would expect nothing. We would expect nothing less, though.
Exactly. Say that I. Man, family, this has been a solid one. Solid one. We 2 hours in that thing. I love it. OhnahjiU Saturday, family. This June 27th. Last one of this June Pride Month. Summer is in full effect. We swinging. I love it, man. For those who don't know, EK in the building. It's good to see you, family. How we feeling? Doing amazing. Can't complain at all. It's good to see you. Appreciate you popping in. Man, we've been having these goated conversations since 2022. It's been a good time. And yeah, so we rocking. We got Boss 2.0, Dina Combs. We got IC3 Dina Magic, the OG super supporters in the fam with the Ohnahji squad since 2022. We've been rocking and yeah, learning a lot, growing, having some beautiful discussions around critical thinking for years now, family. Going on year 5, you feel me? So that part. All right, we'll go around the room. Any last things we want to get into? Let us know. What's the plans? Set us up for some cliffhangers, y'all. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you, V, for coming up. It's good to hear your voice and have you coming up giving some perspective. I will give you a cliffhanger though. What I came across this week on a couple of other things that we'll come to at a later time. It's crazy to me that the Ethereum Foundation has cut 40% of their workforce because they're moving toward AI.
Who is that? You said
the Ethereum Foundation.
Oh, so
they did a major restructuring. So because they're leaving behind, well, in a nutshell, AI is replacing some of the jobs that humans had.
Well, I mean,
now again, we have to get into it. That's the cliffhanger, but that's wild.
Yeah. That's the sign of the times. At least that's what they tell us.
That part. So they'll cut jobs now, but it will create new jobs. Yeah. I hope that's the case for the Ethereum Foundation. We're gonna see in October. I'm telling you, we're gonna see what happens with the state of crypto, these blockchains and things in October, and how people react to that.
That'll be telling. In the 60s, what's going on? I mean,
we'll see.
I think at least that's what they tell us is what my response is to most things these days. I would echo Boss and think, hey, Mrs. V, for coming up and joining us. I think that you should join us more often. I think 4 is a good number. It's a good balance. Looks good on the screen. Symmetry.
That part.
I know that would be mad fun. She just infiltrating co-hosts left and right.
Yeah, and balance out the energy.
That part too. Hey, Miss V in the building. And W Convo, Miss V is the GOAT. W Convo Nacho. It's good to have you always in chat going in, man, as well too. For sure. All right, y'all. Hey, day 313 going crazy. This is well over episode. I don't know. I got to figure out which episode of OhnahjiU this is. We well into the hundreds for sure.
Oh yeah.
It's been an amazing time. We'll catch y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think Miss V is gonna come back. She got some more to talk about as well too. Can I be the male of your tech podcast? All right.
Let's
There
go.
we go. Big dubs, big dubs. All right, family. OhnahjiU Saturday, we rocking. Catch us next week. If scheduling all aligns, 10 a.m. PST. I'm glad. Hey, I'm glad I woke up. I woke up and can I? Wow. Can you be Mark? I'm weak. No, I woke up this morning. I was like, oh snap, I'm way late. But I was like, you know what? Nah. Let me get rushed. Let me get in the shower and get to getting because I just had a feeling it was gonna be a goated one. So I'm glad we did. We rocked it. We'll catch you. We had a late night. Parenting all around, parenting everybody's kids, but it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. It's fun. All right, y'all. OhnahjiU Saturday, June 27th. I'm OhnahjiB, Brian, founder behind OhnahjiU and OhnahjiU University. Got our goated co-host, Boss 2.0, Dina Combs, Icy through Dina Magic. We'll catch y'all next week. But catch us tomorrow for our daily streams going in this 365 journey, 314, hopefully around 10 a.m. as well, too. We'll catch y'all later. W Stream family. If you guys have any questions or anything, let us know. Let us know. We're on Ohnahji on all the socials, OHNAHJI. Join the Discord. It's popping server over there. But it's a safe space for the home team, learning and growing emerging tech. So, act accordingly. No, just playing. But W family, we're going to get out of here. W Stream. Peace.